We are now live. So
Oh
we're just going to
no.
listen to this live and we're going to chat while we do it because this is the two cranky jags and we just fly by the seat of our pants here.
Let's go. I made one for
Real
you
quick,
too.
real quick double intro. This will be our second intro to anybody else that jumps in. Welcome back to Cranky Jagoffs. Sorry I'm a little late. I had a restream going for a few minutes, but I couldn't figure out. I was having a couple difficulties with it. I couldn't figure out what the problem was, but we got it sorted. Derpy helped me out, and Derpy evidently had nothing better going on. So since Tim couldn't be here, as I explained before, but I'll explain again, Derpy's going to sit in, and he's going to be a cranky jagoff tonight. Derpy, thank you for joining me, and thank you for your help.
Should I say you're welcome or should I not say you're welcome, Cranky Jagoffs?
You just say whatever. You're one of the cranky jagoffs now, so you're even cooler than Mike and Ryan. You're on another level with the other Ryan and Tim, the Harris boys.
Let's go.
Let's
Let's
go.
let's
Let's
go.
go.
Let's go.
Boom. There it is.
Boom. There we go.
Boom. That's right. All right, Derpy. Thank you
There's no more
for
there's
coming
no
in.
more of that. There's no more of that, Finch.
I know that's what makes it cool when I do it now because it's like has a retro feel now. Like it takes you back to a simpler time on the two dumb yinzers.
Fair enough.
All right, let me get my computer organized because in the midst of trying to get everything all figured out, I have like four different tabs open and a couple more on top of that. So, first off, real quick, thanks again. Since
You're
you're
welcome.
here, beep, hello, over enthusiastic intern Caleb. It's good to see you. So once again, Tim and Ryan couldn't make it tonight. The Harrises, that's their last name. We go by Harris for them, but Tim and Ryan, the regular Jagoffs. Sorry for the mic interference. They are out tonight. I only found out a few hours ago. They had some stuff going on, and Tim messaged me and let me know. But I had already had some ideas for a show, and I had the time allotted with the family, and I haven't. We did a live show last week, but we really kind of just winged it, and I wasn't very happy with how that show turned out. Although I still had fun, and who cares if we had fun? That's all that matters. But yeah, so that's what it was. So they're not here. My couch right over there that they normally sit on is now empty. Unfortunately,
The
makes me a
couch
little
of
sad.
despair.
But what's nice is I don't need all the extra lights on and stuff, so it's a little dimmer in the rest of the room, and I've got a nice vibe going right now. And I'm a vibe guy. How about you, Derp?
I'm very vibe. Should we call that couch the couch of sadness tonight?
We could. You know what's funny? Like you are in your 30s, correct?
I'm almost in my 30s.
Almost 30s. Okay, that's fair. So you're old enough. You're a man. Remember, this is two cranky jagoffs. So we get a little dirty
Yep.
around here sometimes.
Yep.
So
Yep. I know.
do you understand where I'm going with this when it comes to the couch?
Oh,
Caleb
okay.
says, "Don't tell JD Vance you have a lonely couch." I will not tell Vice President Vance. That could be a bad thing. Yeah. So online, if you're a man and possibly women too, there's sort of a meme that's been going around for years based on the couch. Like
I
there,
know the meme.
it, it comes from dirty videos where the casting couch. Let's just say that and leave it there. And you just made me think of that for some reason when I looked over at my gray couch. And
Oh,
yeah,
dang.
so now it's a casting couch. If a lady came down here and needed to audition, though, I have the lights, the mics, and the cameras. So anybody who's watching, Jen, I know you're an older lady, but we like friends here. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. If the wife comes down here, though, we're shutting off the cameras and the lights. So
Yes.
anyway, Derpy, how you feeling tonight? Is there So you mentioned a mock draft. We've been
Yeah.
chatting in our chat here, and I'm going to be honest with you, Derp. That is not something I myself am prepared to do. I Since the Super Bowl, I've kind of disconnected with a lot of sports in general. I still catch the headlines here or there, and I have been starting to get into baseball a little bit. And when it comes to the draft stuff, the only things I really think about and talk about or know about is what you guys talk about on the show. And to be honest with you, for the last week, I haven't been able to listen much of the show. I know you haven't been on; you were on one or two episodes in the last week or so. But ever since I
Yeah.
got back from Vegas, I haven't had much time. I've been taking care of some stuff around the house. I've worked some extra hours and stuff, so I've been missing most of the shows. So I do not have a lot of confidence in talking about mock draft type stuff. However, I would still be in on the conversation if I was available. It'd be fun to just listen to you guys talk. However, I am working all day tomorrow, so I won't be here.
How about
But
we just wing one tonight?
I can't do it. I just don't have it. But I
You
do
have the
have a.
beer. You have the beer though. Come
I
on
do
now,
have
you
the
wing it.
beer. Now I don't have the confidence in my knowledge to have any
You
sort
have the
of
beer though, Finch.
No. But here's what I do have. I have a few stories queued up. We're gonna talk about a couple of
All right.
stories that I got here that are relevant in sports and other things, and then we're just gonna wing it for a little bit after that. We'll chat, and maybe we'll talk about a little bit about my Vegas trip. I didn't get into some details. I have a couple spicy stories we could talk about. And also, if you wanted to just go off and get away from sports and stuff like that, we could also talk about some of the Nintendo news. I know you're kind
We
of a
can talk
nerd
about
like
Pat
I am.
McAfee's.
We could put that on the show as well at the end of the show. What do you think, buddy?
I lagged. What'd you say, Finch?
I was saying that we have a few different things to talk about here, and one thing we could bring up later is since this is my show, we can get a little nerdy, and we could talk about some Nintendo stuff.
All right.
Yeah, there's a lot going on around this new Nintendo console coming out, and
How about
I wouldn't mind chatting about it.
How about also did you catch Pat McAfee's Night Out or no?
You know what? No, I haven't seen it, but I've definitely caught a lot of info about it. I have heard some of the basics, some of the people that have came to the event, that did come to the event, but I did not watch it, and I caught a clip here or there. But I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch the whole thing.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious, Finch. It was
Yes, the
hilarious.
reviews, some of the people were saying the same thing, saying that it was definitely pretty good, but he was also kind of, I guess there were some like technical snafus or something. Things weren't quite going right with some of the, some of the technical stuff, I guess. I don't know. But
Yeah.
anyway, let's get to it. So let me do a screen share here, Derpo. How do we do that? I know I've done it before.
The third button. The third
I'm gonna
emblem.
add a scene.
That's a scene, and then the third emblem's to show your screen
I'm looking for it here.
next to your camera.
I don't have the screen. Oh, you know what it is? I've got this on like a funny window. There we go. I see it now. Okay.
The third emblem.
Yep, I see it. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about, we brought this up last week on Two Cranky Jagoffs. All right. So there is the. Let me make that the big thing.
Ooh.
There is. Nice. This actually looks pretty good, close to how I normally set it up on Two Cranky Jags. This works out pretty well. So the bats, right? So I know you guys brought this up on the Yinzers, and Tim and I had a little bit of a conversation about the torpedo bats with the Yankees last week. Tim's all jacked off about it because he thinks that I don't know if you caught it, but he thinks basically if any other team other than the Yankees or the Dodgers or maybe the Red Sox had the issue with the torpedo bats, say the Pirates showed up with torpedo bats first. He seems to think, Tim and Ryan both seem to think that the league would automatically just ban it, the next day. And but since it's a media darling like the Yankees, a worldwide, world-class organization like the Yankees,
you know what?
What's up?
You might not be wrong.
You know what I mean? And
he might
I
not
tend
be
to
wrong
not
on
disagree. Baseball, MLB works so much different in the behind closed doors than
Right.
than football and hockey. They all work differently, but football is all about being showy and adapting to the times, whereas baseball is just like, hey, we're gonna do some shady shit behind closed doors and see what works out. But do you agree with that sentiment, huh? So that sounds like it could be plausible.
Yeah.
All right, so this article that I found is pretty cool. It actually talks about the company that's making these bats. And I did not read through the article yet. I have a couple articles for a couple different subjects here, and I did not read through them. I kind of perused, checked the pictures, and just kind of made sure that the article was something interesting.
That's a nice bat, though.
And that one is, and I do not believe that's a torpedo bat. Actually, yes, it is. Okay, yeah, it's bulged in the middle. So when we were talking about this last week, I had not seen like a good close-up photo of a torpedo bat. I had an idea in my head of what it was, and then when I saw the picture in this article, it did confirm pretty much how I thought, how it was described. King of Prussia, PA, which is out near the Philadelphia area. Oh my
goodness.
Yeah, do you see that photo there?
I'm seeing how wide it is.
Right. So that's what they did. So basically, I'll just give a quick synopsis. you look at a normal bat, the one in the
Right.
bottom here. You can see
Right.
my mouse, right? You can see where my mouse is there. How it's pretty even in width from the end of the barrel, right about there, down to about the middle of the bat, right? Where it starts to taper down and get into where the handle is. They've managed to
Wait,
thin out.
you're telling me the Yankees have this bullshit?
The Yankees have been using this for like a week and a half now, and they scored like 20 home runs in their first like couple of games or something ridiculous like that. And if you look at this photo, you can see like these bats are beat up. That bat have definitely hit a dinger. I mean, look at the mark on it there. It's right in that sweet spot. Now, to me, okay, people think this is an advantage. It's definitely an advantage, right? If
It's
you
100% advantage.
100%. Because that is the sweet spot of the bat. That is where you want to make the most contact. However, it does skew. They're probably hitting more foul balls as well. Because if you look at the top here of the bat, right there's at the end of the bat, there's a scuff there. I'll bet that scuff was from a ball that got fouled 400 feet backwards. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like when you have that kind of angle, it's not flat to parallel to the swing, so it's gonna probably ding off the wrong direction. However, that could also mean that, I would think that if you hit especially if you hit like a mean curveball, a ball that already has some spin on it, and you hit that part of the bat right there where that scuff is,
Right.
you could probably get the ball to come off of the bat in a very weird angle that could give it like backspin or English. Hit a ball that goes just inside the first base foul line, hits the inside of the chalk, and then just immediately darts right towards the crowd. You know what I mean? Going away from the first baseman. Like those kind of hits are happening too. And you know what I mean? Because of the shape of the bat, it just causes a different velocity off of the bat. Do you think so?
Yes.
There you go, Derp. I think it's actually genius, right? Like they're within the rules. It's a good idea. Now, if Major League Baseball wants to look at this and make a call on it, I don't think they have yet.
No, that's not fair. I'm looking at that bat right there. That's not fair.
You don't think that's fair? Well, no, it's not fair. It's definitely 100% an advantage, but that doesn't
and of
mean.
course, the Yankees would get it first. That's the funny thing.
And the company that's making, we're going to read this article. We're going to learn some things in the article here. But the company that makes these bats are in King of Prussia, PA, which is not far from Philadelphia, which means it's not far from New York. So you're going to see other teams in the area start getting, and it's probably going to be in this article. The Phillies, you know what I mean?
Phillies,
Boston, of course, Boston. So let's read the article. We're just gonna
whoever has the bank, whoever has the dough is gonna get him.
70-year-old man who plays in an area senior hardball league popped into Victus Sports this week because he needed bats for the new season. Plus, he had just to take some cuts with the baseball's latest fad and see for himself if it really was some wizardry in the wallop off. Ed Constant of Newton Square picked up the custom-designed VOLPE11 TPD Pro Reserve Maple and took his hacks, just like MLB stars, right, and Victus customers Anthony Volpe or Brian Stott would inside the company's batting cage and track the ball's path on a virtual Citizens Bank Park computer screen. All right, so let's take a look here. So we've already checked out these couple of photos. This is just insane. Volpe bats with one of the team's newly made torpedo bats in a baseball game against the Brewers on Saturday the 29th, so last week. That is a wicked-looking bat, dude.
That's just sad.
That's insane. Most big leaguers use that often indistinguishable feel as a qualifier as to how they select a bat. Constantini had a similar process and thought the hype surrounding the torpedo, since it exploded into the baseball consciousness over the weekend, was a hoax. But after dozens of swings in the cage where he said his balance was better, the ball sounded more crisp off the bat, the left-handed hitter ordered on the spot 4 custom-crafted bats at $150 a pop. That's $600, bro. $600
for those.
For 4 of them. That's for $4. That's for 4 bats. Excuse me. $150 each. The litmus test that I used was I could see where the marks of the ball were, exactly like we were just saying on that one photo. The swings were hitting the thickness of the torpedo as opposed to the end of the bat. Just before I get into this more, I'm just going to say I wonder. The feel, they say it feels more balanced. That makes sense because more of the weight is in one spot, and it might be it might make the bat feel a little lighter in the hands than it really is, and it probably swings a little bit smoother, I would imagine, right?
Right.
Amazing. And of course, the faster you can swing the bat, the more velocity you can get on the bat. If you do hit that sweet spot, you can send the ball a hell of a lot farther. So, more than just all-stars want a crack at the torpedo. A striking design in which wood is moved lower down the barrel after the label and shapes the end a little like a bowling pin. And Constantini's purchase highlighted the surge of interest in baseball's shiny new toy outside of... Hold on a second here. There we go. Sorry, I had to hit a button here.
Let's go to the Pens one.
What's up?
Pens one, even though they're not making the playoffs.
Nice. Good. Good Pens. Where was I here? Anyway, let's just say we'll skip that. Think of home runs in baseball, and the fan's mind races to the mammoth distance the ball can fly when slugged right on the nose, or history-making chase that captivates a nation. Thinking of old Sosa, McGuire. Lesser intent, the old reliable wood bat itself. Dead to me. You're gone.
To me.
That was, of course, until Paul Goldschmidt. Ralph Williams joining us. Hello, Ralph. It's nice to see you.
What's up, Ralph?
By the way, Ralph, please, thank you for joining us today. I have been following your Facebook page for a few weeks now, man, and I'm glad things are going really well for you, Ralph. And thanks for joining us tonight. I don't think you've ever seen us on the show. This is the two Cranky Jagoffs. I'm Jeff, and that's Derpy. Derpy's normally not here. Usually, it's my friend Tim here, and we get a little rated R in this particular show.
Rated R, more like rated M.
Yeah, rated M is right. We get a little wild, Tim and his nephew Ryan and I, and we also have some fun. However, tonight Derpy decided to join me. Tim and Ryan couldn't make it, so we're going to keep it a little more sports focused for now, and we're actually talking about the torpedo bats, Ralph. I know that's been a thing in the news for the last week and a half. You say Major League Baseball does not care. Here's what I think. Go ahead, please, Derp.
And that's the thing. They don't.
And you know what? I agree that they shouldn't. This is not like the steroids.
Right.
Okay? The steroids is a thing that happened in the 90s, early 2000s that really jacked people. I should say, guys got jacked up and were jacking baseballs out of stadiums and led to one of the most exciting times in MLB history, at least one of the most exciting times in my life of that time. I was like 15 when that race happened in 98. And, man, you want to talk about just being locked into the Major League Baseball that year. I was in it. It was awesome.
It entertaining.
It was so good. And, unfortunately, the steroids had a huge part in that. And that's an unfair advantage. Not everybody wants to take the roids. Not everybody can take the roids. And, that was definitely an unfair advantage. However, these bats are available to everybody. Right. It's a matter of the teams. If Major League Baseball says it's okay, they want to see home runs. Okay, you remember that old TV commercial? I believe it was Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine. Chicks dig the long ball,
yeah.
Something like that. It's true, man. The long ball sells. And to go back to that 98 season, to go back to Barry Bonds, the year he hit, I believe, 73, right? That's captivating stuff. And once again, the steroids being a disadvantage, not a disadvantage, a huge advantage, a unfair advantage. The bats are not unfair. If the teams want to put the money out to buy these bats and the players are willing to try them, the players have the choice whether or not to use them. If they don't like them, that's fine. Certain players who like to swing the bat a certain way, or maybe guys who like to bunt a lot, leadoff guys might want to use a standard bat, whereas your sluggers might want to switch to the torpedo.
My thing is,
go ahead.
My thing is that the Yankees were the first ones to get them.
Of course, that's what makes it so sweet, right? Like, or should I say, makes the story sweet. It kind of makes it something that you want to talk about because it's exactly, dude. The Yankees are the most polarizing team in baseball and have been for 125 years.
25 years, yep.
You know what I mean? They just have. Maybe not quite 125. About 1920, when Babe showed up there, is about the time the Yankees became a thing. So we'll take 20 years off of that. But for 105 years, the Yankees have been the most captivating team in Major League Baseball, most consistently captivating, and deservedly so. Right? The market they're in. The guy who ran that team for 40 years before passing away, before giving up the team, I believe his son's now George Steinbrenner.
Right.
just all that's going on. It's whack. Uh but yeah,
I hope they never win another one.
that's how it goes, right? Yeah, right. I agree too. I don't like them either, but it does feel slimy because it's them, and it does make you think that if it would have been a team like the Pirates or
I'd be okay with it.
the Reds or the Marlins, like Major League Baseball might have something to say, but as far
Right.
as I'm concerned, I kind of hated this at first, but now that I've taken a little time and seen some things about it and have seen the shape of the bat and even this article, um, pretty cool. Um, and once again, if guys are jacking balls out of stadiums, that's entertaining. I want to see that.
We
So
want to
business is
see it
about the
though.
boom.
We want to see that, Finch. But come on, it's the Yankees. Everyone hates the Yankees.
Well, in
The
a week, a
evil
couple more
empire.
weeks, everybody's gonna have them if it stands, right?
Right.
So, like I said, and a lot of players aren't going to want to use them. They're going to be either
They want to be
purists or
traditional.
not just right, exactly. They want to be traditional, they're pure to the game, or like I said, maybe they prefer the swing, they prefer the feel of a regular bat. They've been swinging a standard bat for over 20 years of their life. Um, and I get it. It's just like for example in golf, 15, 20 years ago, you started seeing guys show up with these weird putters. You ever see those, like the belly
Yeah.
putters and the
Yeah.
long putters that are like 6 feet tall? And they
Yeah.
had a completely different style of putting, but it was very good and consistent. It worked. And you saw some guys just complaining about it. I remember John Daly bitching about it. You know what I mean? That's funny because a belly putter on him would be shorter than a normal putter. But anyway, um, I love John Daly. That guy's awesome.
He's the
Um,
goat.
he is the goat. He really is. Him and Tiger, man, they're the
He
best. I love
doesn't
both
give a
those guys.
fuck. He
He
doesn't give a
is
fuck.
his DGF, dude. That meme of him and Tiger from a couple years ago now, where he's got the cigar and the funny pants and all
Yeah.
that. It is so good. It's like so John Daly. I love it. It's awesome. Um, but anyway, let's get back to this article here. Let's see. They'll probably say some stuff that maybe we had already said. So, Yankees crowed about the torpedo shape concept that had baseball buzzing and pitchers grumbling. The scuttlebutt and headlines stoked their super curious peers, most with an eye out for any legal offensive edge into acting Victus and other bat manufacturers about the possibility of taking a swing with the most famous style of bat since Roy Hobbs grabbed a Wonder Boy. They're driving an unprecedented surge in lumber curiosity. What is lumber curiosity, by the way? Is that like a is that a sex thing? Like,
I don't know.
yeah, I'm not into it. Anyway, Victus spent most of the last 14 years trying to help shape the future of baseball. The company's founders just never imagined that shape would resemble a bowling pin.
Look at
It
that
was the
guy's
most
face.
I know, right? He's
He
a
looks like
happy
a dick.
camper.
He
Well,
looks like a
because he's
dick.
suddenly rich. That's why he's
Right.
making these bats. Look at that, dude. Those bats look like Crayola crayons back behind him, don't they?
Yeah.
Right? We got all these different colors. What can we name these? Like banana yellow, of course, and anyway, it was the most talked about thing about bats we've ever experienced, he says. Not the only okay, so they're not the only company producing the bats, but they were
Okay.
amongst the first to list them for sale online after the Yankees made them the talk of the sports world. Okay, so the Yankees weren't buying from these guys originally. Torpedo took the league by storm in only 24 hours, and days later, the calls and orders and
That's
test
kind of
drives.
sus.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. Are humming inside the company's base in a northeast suburb of
24 hours.
Philadelphia.
24-hour limit, like a 24-hour limit or something like that.
Well, the game that they debuted them in, I'm sure, was a nationally televised game because, it's the Yankees, right?
You're right.
So immediately people are like, whoa, whoa. And they hit a bunch of home runs in that first game.
They did. I
So it
remember.
does not shock me at all that that people immediately are calling these wood bat companies, just trying to figure out, hey, you got these, you make these, what's going on?
150 though is crazy.
150 for a bat is not bad. I have seen metal bats go for that, at least that, easy, and
For a
I'm telling you, dude, it's
for a baseball.
all like top end sports equipment is expensive. Most of it is handmade. So these
Not when
bats,
I
they're all
was.
handmade. What's that?
Not when I was. It was expensive, but not like it is today.
Well, everything's more expensive today, dude. I mean, everything has inflated. That's the nature of our system we have
I
here in
know.
America.
I
And
know.
the more people we get who can spend more money, the more that these things happen. That's inflation. That's how it works.
How
But I
much was
mean,
a
it's out
bat
of
when you
control
were?
lately. But I'm just saying, like, since we were kids 20 years ago, it's different.
How much was a baseball bat for you, man?
So I bought one bat as a kid. It was a. I gotta think about that. Oh shit! I hit the wrong button. I gotta think about this. It was a red bomb bat. Okay,
I
that was a
remember
big
those.
thing. Mid 90s. This would have been in like 92, 93. So I was playing like farm league ball when I bought this bat, and I used it right up until pony league. And when I was about 14, I quit baseball at that time.
Same.
But I played baseball for like 7 years, and I had this bat for about six of them. It was a 34-inch bomb bat, red, black handle, and I do believe it was definitely over $100. It might have
Dang.
been it might have been like 99.99. You know what I mean, plus tax. In like about 1993. And I told my dad I wanted this bat, and we went to Dunham's. They had a Dunham's up in near Newcastle, PA, which is where we were, not far from where we were from. And walked in there, and they had all these bats, and that was actually one of the cheaper ones. And it was one of the cheaper ones that felt good. Like the ones that were cheaper than that, you'd pick them up, and they felt a little light, or like the grip, the rubber, it would be like a rubberized grip on them that would slip. It wasn't tape, stuff like that.
Right.
This was like the cheapest, like quality feeling bat that they had. It was the one I wanted, and I liked the look of it. It had a nice look. It was red and black. Those are my colors. Always have been. Always will be. To this day, red and black. I'm wearing red and black. It's always red and black. But
Better not be
what's
Georgia
that?
colors. Better not be sporting
No, 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 no,
Georgia
no,
now.
no, 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 no. It's a me thing. I sport me, and that's my color scheme.
There you
Everybody gets
go.
their own schemes, right? Their own trends.
I'm just
Um,
messing with you.
no, 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 that's cool. But yeah, it was definitely at least $100 bet, and it was a lot of money, and we didn't have a lot of money, and my dad kind of met me on it. I think I had like $30 or something I came up with, and he met me the rest of the way, and he made sure to tell
Awesome.
me, hey, this is a lot of money, you got to take care of it and use it right, and I did. I played with it for years, and it's a bat, so it got dinged up. It was an aluminum bat, so it got dinged up
Right.
and all that, but it was still good to play with, and it stuck with me. Most games I played of baseball, I used that bat. So I wasn't a great hitter by any stretch. I
I was
definitely
a
wasn't.
terrible hitter.
Yeah, me neither. I was a pitcher and first baseman. I was pretty good at that. Pretty good at first base. Left-handed, and had a big arm. I
Lefty
could throw the
gang.
ball. Yeah,
Lefty gang.
but
Go
yeah,
lefties.
loving the lefties, but yeah, so bats were expensive even back then. So, for a wooden bat to be 150, which is a handmade bat, every one of those are lathed by hand. Okay, you got to understand that. That is a
I know.
man standing in front of a spinning machine, a
For
piece of
hours.
wood spinning hundreds of RPM, for hours a day, doing dozens of bats a day. You
Right.
got to give the guy credit. You got to give them credit, I should say, for that. And that's a handmade process. I would think $150 for these particular torpedo bats is actually probably a little less than I thought they would be.
It'd probably be a reasonable price.
It is. It would not shock me if you looked up the prices of Louisville Sluggers and some of these real big bat names that you see all over the place in Major League Baseball. They might be more than that. I'll bet a lot of those are like $200 bats. If you bought the bat individually, these teams are buying them hundreds at a time, so they're probably getting discounts. You know what I mean?
Right.
But still, that's what I'm getting at. This guy here who's buying these bats, he bought 4 for his hometown team, so that's full retail price at 150. I mean, that's a lot of money, but if you're playing the game and you're playing in a league and you're serious about your league, I mean, that's what do we say, $600 for those 4 bats? I mean, I easily pay that for some hobbies that I have. I mean, I have a video game collection that's worth like 10 grand right now. So, you know
Ooh.
what I mean? Yeah. According to the Game Collector app, you know what I'm saying? Like, we all have things like that. We all have things that we like to put our money into, and it's part of our hobby, our desire to be something that maybe we quite aren't, like a Major League Baseball player or whatever. That's totally cool. I respect that the guy's willing to put up some cash to pay for some high quality bats. I just hope they don't break. I hope he doesn't swing one and it just snaps in half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the bad thing about the wooden bats, is there's always that chance. And especially, you would think if this bat's like, well balanced and gives you a better swing and a faster swing, there's more velocity. You would think that if you do hit one off the end of the bat, you do have a better chance of cracking the bat. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, especially if it's maple. Maple bats have always been notorious for that, but it does say here, I do see the word birch in there, so they probably do have some birch bats. The birch bats are known for being a little more sturdy than the maple bats, but they don't have the give that the maple bats do, so the ball doesn't bounce off of the wood quite as well. Maple is the traditional wood as far as I believe. So, yeah, but torpedo-looking hunk of lumber, it generated about as much interest last season in baseball as a 200 hitter. Victus made its torpedoes around 2024 spring training when the Yankees reached out about crafting samples for their players. Victus, as dialed in as anyone in the bat game, only made about a dozen last season, and about a dozen more birch or maple bats this season. This week alone, try hundreds of torpedoes. So hundreds in a week.
Is that a catch line or something?
I don't know, but like I said, dude, hundreds in a week. Once again, that is workers standing in front of lathes with blades, hand cutting these bats. They probably have a machine that gives them rough cut, you know, cuts them into cylinders or dowels, or they might even order the wood might already come in like dowel shaped. But they still got to cut them down to the right shape. And I imagine that torpedo shape being kind of new and kind of, you know, wasn't very popular until just now. He probably doesn't have a lot of jigs set up to cut that. So he probably had to spend some time setting up his rig to cut those properly and to make it work. So kudos to this guy for doing it, because it sounds like it's like a small operation. You know what I mean?
Right. And he's making money off of it. That's what matters.
Look at him. And you can see the guy on the right there. He's both these guys. They're at a lathe right there. See, I called it. They're hand cutting. These are all handcrafted bats. See that there on the left, on the right? That's a lathe. There's a bat in between.
I couldn't, man.
That thing is spinning. Yeah. I've used lathes before. It's a cool thing to play with. Like, they're fun to use. But doing it as a job like that would be hard. It's hard on the arms. It's hard on your breathing, because you're breathing in dust all the time.
Right.
That, you know, kudos to these guys, man. Just woodworking in general is kind of it's fun. I enjoy woodworking. I've gotten into it myself over the years a little bit here and there. But it's, if you're doing it professionally, you're doing it every day, stuff like this. That's tough, man. That's tough on your body.
Hey, can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
Shout out to the Giants crushing the Yankees right now.
Are they really?
Yeah, it's 9-1.
Oh yeah. Did the Giants get the torpedo bats? Is that what it is?
I don't know, but it's a rain delay though, unfortunately.
Ah.
But it is 9-1, so shout out to the Giants.
Wonder if that one's on TV somewhere I can watch and see if they're using the bats. But yeah, so I'm looking at these photos. This guy here, he's pulling. Okay, so it looks like they are giant dowels, basically. They're probably getting these shipped in from the lumber mill at this shape and this rough cut. So then they take that.
I hate my life, everything. I love my wife. I hate my life.
Yeah. Like, what am I doing right now? My wife left me. Everybody hates me. The fucking Yankees are ordering all these bats, and all I do is work 24/7. Boss won't hire any new people. All I gotta do is play with this goddamn wood. I fucking hate everything. I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Fuck this.
Exactly.
All right. So there's a bunch of torpedo bats. Man, even without the print on them and stuff, the color really, I think, helped. The paint on the bats helped to really emphasize the shape. But even these raw bats, dude, you can really tell the shape of them, man. They really do. I remember Tim posted a meme on Facebook one day. It was a kid holding one of those. You remember those bats? Those, like, they're wiffle ball bats, but they're real fat heads.
Oh,
like,
yes.
They're like freaking this wide. The whole bat is like this long. And it would have you're right. It looks like that thing you would hit whack-a-mole with, but it's plastic and you hit wiffle balls with it. And you can freaking crush. We would take those and swing them with one.
Yep.
We'd swing it with one hand and just whack wiffle balls like 100 yards. And he had a like somebody superimposed one of those bats into
and
like Aaron Judge and somebody's hands. You know what I mean?
I would play home.
That'd be awesome. If Major League Baseball somehow, for some reason, decides to outlaw these bats, they should at least make them legal for home run derby.
Yes, 100%.
100%, dude. 100%. They should let them cork them up, too. Fuck it.
I just think it's slimy that the Yankees got it first.
That's the thing. Once again, you know, we keep bringing that up, but it's true. Like, it's the Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox, maybe the Mets. Those teams, you're just like, ugh. The Yankees the worst for sure, though. You know what I mean? Like, they're that number one team. They're the evil empire. Yeah, they are, you know. It is what it is, dude. Of course it's them. like I said, these companies, a lot of the companies that baseball sources a lot of their stuff from, their balls. I know from Wilson, obviously Louisville Slugger in Kentucky. I know the rubbing mud that they use for every single baseball, every single football in the NFL gets rubbed with that special mud. That comes from New Jersey, right on the Delaware River, not far from where this bat company is from in King of Prussia. The eastern area of the United States supplies a lot of stuff to baseball, and that's where a lot of the teams are. So it's not surprising that the Yankees were the ones to figure this out, but it also wouldn't surprise me if it would have been like the Pirates. I mean, the Pirates are known for being a slime ball team. It wouldn't shock me if they tried to find some sort of advantage by something as simple as buying new bats. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wouldn't have felt as slimy to us, being non-Yankee fans, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, still, like it's something, dude.
I hate the Yankees, man.
F the Yankees.
Exactly.
So let's go ahead and finish this article.
I hate their fans I hate their fans just as much as the team.
So the Yankees are basically the Cowboys of the baseball.
Right.
I don't know if there's really an equivalent team in hockey. I mean, you could say Philadelphia, but like that's sort of a personal thing because we as Penguins fans hate the Flyers so much. Maybe Boston. Maybe Chicago. Detroit. Detroit would have filled that role. Yeah, back in 2009, they definitely filled that role for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Detroit might be the best bet there. Yeah, Detroit. Possibly Capitals, but mostly because of Ovechkin. But, he's pretty awesome, even though I hate him.
I would say Detroit because they're fans.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They're like an American Original Six team.
And they think they're relevant still.
Right, they throw those stupid octopus out on the ice. Yeah, you know what? F the Red Wings. Who's the basketball team that everybody hates? I guess right now it's probably the Lakers, because wherever LeBron is, I guess. So on a good day, Victus makes, listen to this, dude, 600 to 700 bats. That's guys with guys on lathes. Let me emphasize that again. I've said
Let's go back to that guy above saying, you make 600, 700, you make 600, 700 bats.
494, 495, 496.
Exactly.
Fuck, I hate my job. Garazunas joins us. He says, historically, it would be Montreal. They have 20-something championships. I don't think Canada's had a title since 67, right? They haven't had a Stanley Cup since 1967 or something like that, right? So, yeah, I guess so. But Montreal, it's been so long since they've been good that they're kind of irrelevant. Whereas Detroit was really good for a long time there in the 80s and 90s and the 2000s.
The fans, Brian. I'm talking about the fans.
Yeah, but the fans become ignorant because of the team.
Right.
I'm sure there are a lot of people, we live in Pittsburgh. Hi, Jen. Good to see you.
Hi, Jen.
We live in Pittsburgh. A lot of people outside of Pittsburgh think that the Steelers have some of the most ignorant fans. And they aren't wrong.
They aren't wrong, right, Finch? They aren't wrong.
But, come on, dude.
If you're like a bandwagon Steelers fans, like from 2010s when Antonio was there.
It's fair. I get it.
I've been a fan. You know I'm not a bandwagon. I've been a fan for a long time.
You're a long homegrown Steeler fan, as am I.
So that would be my point. If a fan like that is a bandwagon.
Sure. No, you're right. I get it. Somebody immediately joins their just this last year after 2 straight Super Bowl wins. A guy joins the Chiefs fandom because he's sick of being a Raiders fan or a Broncos fan or whatever, and suddenly starts talking mad shit. And he buys the Chiefs jacket, start over, pullover, and he buys a Chiefs hat, and he gets Chiefs fucking 3-time Super Bowl champion tattoo on his arm.
Or for example, you could go to the Ravens where, oh, I'm Lamar Jackson, and they have Lamar Jackson and all that jazz.
Right. But yeah. Ryan says 24 cups for Montreal. He said the 90s was the last cup for a Canada team.
Really?
He's right. I do know that now that I think about it. I want to say...
Well, suck Canada.
Was it 93?
I don't know.
93? That was the year that the Pens lost to the Islanders. The Pens had probably what many consider their greatest team of all time in 93. And they ended up just blowing a series versus the Islanders. But I can't remember who won the cup.
I wasn't born yet.
Ryan's probably looking it up. He would know. He's a little sharper than I am with the '90s trivia there, especially the hockey stuff. But yeah, he is right. I do believe it wasn't the Maple Leafs. It might have been the Habs. Might have been the Habs.
Vancouver?
No, I don't think so. I think
Ottawa?
Vancouver went to a Stanley Cup final 1 or 2 years there. They had a pretty solid squad. If I remember correctly,
Ottawa?
they had a no. I'm talking about Vancouver. They had a very good goalie for a long time, and it slips. Can't remember who it was. They had about 5 years with a really great,
Maybe.
one of the all-time greats of, or I should say, generational greats of his time, and I can't think of who it was.
I always hated Ottawa.
Yeah, well, they beat the Pens a couple of
always-
times in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I would always ticked when they
I
beat
know.
us.
I know. Ottawa is just such a French-sounding name that I just hate it. Montreal and Ottawa. It's like Montreal, Ottawa. And I'm just like, dude, just no.
Hobbs in '93.
Habs in '93. There it is. There it is.
What's
What I
that?
said. I said the Canadiens, didn't I? I said Montreal. That is the Habs, right? Yeah. Excellent. I nailed it. Thank you, Ryan, for that
Thank you,
wonderful,
Ryan.
wonderful trivia. All right, back to the article because we're about done with it. And I have one more article here I want to bring up that I thought was super interesting, and I would like to
Dude,
get
what
your
are
take.
those shoes? And for existence, what are those shoes too?
I can't tell. Hold on.
What the frick are those shoes?
Oh, it doesn't give me like an actual zoom.
Oh,
It's just
come on, that's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
But
Oh,
that
my
dude
goodness.
definitely hates his life for doing 600 to 700.
All right, so here's something something interesting. Rookie of the year. Here's the surprising part of the torpedo bat. For all its early hype, the bat is no rookie. The lethal number has been used by some sluggers in baseball for at least a year or two. Well, no one really noticed. Okay, here's a couple big names. Giancarlo Stanton.
Of course it would be Stanton and Lindor.
Francisco Lindor, that's right. Used torpedoes last season.
Maybe that's why Lindor's average went up a little bit.
Other
He
players
sucks since he
experimented,
left
and
our
no
team.
one, not the bulk of other players or journalists or fans, picked up on it. A few baseball junkies inquired about the bats. I think it's one of those things, until you're looking at it, you might not see it. Now, when you look at pictures, you're like, oh, yeah, it's a torpedo. Huh.
Look at this prick.
Former
Look at this
Yankees
dude.
front office Aaron Leanhart, now works for the Miami Marlins, was credited as the one who developed the torpedo barrel to bring more mass to bat's sweet spot. So it's this douche right here. This
Yep, this douche. This
he's like a
prick.
mix between there's a comedian who looks like this guy, and I can't think of his name.
Look at that prick ass smile.
But he has a little bit of a Wayne Gretzky thing going on as well. He's like a Wayne Gretzky. Like if there was a Wayne Gretzky version of a Hobbit, like if there was a Hobbit who was a really great hockey player, he would look like this guy.
Right.
Yeah, there's a comedian, I can't think of his name, who kind of looks like this dude, and it's hilarious.
What's his name? Didn't he star in SNL?
Not the guy I'm thinking of, no.
No.
He
Okay.
kind of looks like Seth Meyers, if that's who you're thinking of.
That's who I was
Yeah.
thinking. Yes, Seth
Yeah,
Meyers.
now that you say that, his eyes, yeah, he does kind of have the Seth Meyers thing. If you cover up the mouth, odd shape off the bat, like making a sausage. The meat is simply pushed down the casing.
What? What?
What a great analogy.
Boom! He's just touching the bat like, on the analogy.
He is too. Look at him, dude.
He's glazing upon the bat. Exactly, Finch. Play that again, man.
Oh, I'm gonna die. Oh, I'm dying, bro. Oh, that's funny. Oh, shit.
Oh,
Hey now.
hey now. Oh,
Anyway. So there's this guy. What's going on here?
Mr. Glaze upon the bat guy.
Jared Smith, he's the guy who runs this company. He's doing an interview at Victor Sports. But yeah, that's pretty much a story. I don't see too much more here other than the photos. This guy is in full swing.
I hate my life guy right there.
There he is. That's him, and he's doing. Oh, he's on a computer there. Yeah. He's like, God damn it.
He
He's
totally
wearing
is.
freaking shorts at a wood shop.
Who does that?
That's unsafe, man. The bottom of the cuff of that short, it gets caught in a lathe or a saw. Dude, his pants are done. He might be done. He must not work in the actual shop. That dude he's playing on a computer here. He was
He
messing
probably
with the
doesn't
wood
give
earlier.
a
He's
fuck
posing
because
for photos. Yeah, he's
he probably
he's
doesn't
a
give a fuck because he's
I
making
think
all
it's
that
this
money.
guy actually. I think it is that guy.
It is that guy.
Yeah. He's the owner of the company. Okay. But yeah, he still hates his life. That's pretty much that article. So anything you want to wrap up on the bats thing?
F the Yankees.
F the Yankees. There we go. I love it.
Boom.
And maybe FMLB too,
Why is that?
because the Yankees got it first, and though, like you said,
Mm,
the whole scenario. If what Tim said, right?
right. If it had been somebody else, if it had been like the Reds
Right.
or the Rangers, the Rockies.
Right. Exactly.
Right. I mean, I'm with Tim on that. I think that they definitely would have given it a look, but at the same time, it's like if it is a team that's historically bad or hasn't been good the last few years, let's just go with the Pirates, all right?
Right.
And suddenly the Pirates are jacking 10 homers a game for like 3, 4, 5 games straight, and they're winning these games. That looks really good for baseball. It's
right.
like, dude, there's this underdog that found this like special sauce. They found this bat. It's so cool that they did it, and now they're winning, and now they're getting the edge. And then it takes a couple weeks for the rest of MLB to, get their money out and pay for these bats and for the orders to be filled and for them to show up at their stadiums. And for that week or two, just like exactly what the Yankees are going through right now, for that week or two, there's like this Cinderella period where it's like this beautiful thing that this team found this really cool. You like it when people find these little advantages. You do. Like when it makes the game better. For instance, like when you look at fighting, guys find a certain way to grab a certain hold, and then all of a sudden, everybody in the UFC is using the same chokehold because it works, right? It's a trend. That's cool because it's an advantage that's within the rules. I'm okay with it. The only thing that sucks is that it's a Yankees, like we keep saying.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it is what it is, dude. But all right, let's switch it up. I got another story here. We're gonna take a couple minutes. We're gonna bang through this one because this one was real interesting. Okay.
Basketball.
Hardwood is basketball's longtime foundation. A German company would like to change that to glass.
Huh?
So let's just look at this picture real quick. He's playing on, I guess, a glass surface. There's probably lights under it. Looks like there's lights underneath it.
That's like LED lights or something, like an LED court.
Yeah. That would be so distracting, dude. But you know what? If it just...
You can project things cooler, though.
Ads.
Yep.
Ads. That's what it comes down to right now. That's what I'm telling you. Ads. And, of course, yes, light shows. It'll look cool, right? You could do some really cool intro shit when they're introducing teams and stuff. You have crazy lights coming out of the floor. It's probably cheaper to have a light show than it is to have pyro. A lot of places do pyro still. That stuff I can get behind. However, the ads I can't get behind. I understand why these arenas, it's probably not the NBA, it's the arena, but the NBA is going to get a cut. Let's read the article, man.
Look at this guy with this article right here.
Oh, he is a freaking stud. Look at that guy. Check him out. Aaron Beard.
Oh, Aaron Beard.
What's up, Aaron? April 2nd, 2025. So this article is a week old. Chris Thornton loves talking about playing basketball on the most fragile sounding of surfaces, glass. Thornton is managing director at America's division of ASB Glass Floor, a German company building floors made of fused together layers of safety glass covered LED panels. So we nailed it. The courts are a far more dramatic visual feast with customized playing lines, logos, colors, animated graphics, and advertisements for multiple sports.
You hit it on the nails, Finch.
In basketball, where wood is king, I use this analogy a lot. We're at the initial stage. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Wood is king. Thornton sees growth potential for glass courts already showing up in the NBA and internationally as a tech-driven alternative to the sport's long-running hardwood foundation. I use this analogy a lot. We're at the initial stages of the iPhone being launched, Thornton said. Way back when Apple did that, the design of the hardware has changed, but more importantly, the original iPhone was just a phone, a text device, music player. Now you're running your entire life and communicating to the world on it. I see this in the same regard. He's comparing a glass floor
Look what
to the
Jen
iPhone.
said.
What did Jen say? Next thing you know, they will be putting ads over players' faces and throwing away bricks. When's PNC Park going to have a glass floor? Oh, snap. All right, let's get back to the web page here.
No, that's just Paul Skeens for an ad.
Nice. I use this analogy a lot. We're at the initial. Oh wait, we just.
He's only going to be there for like 4 years.
3 more years or something.
Yeah, it'll be the ad.
Give me a second here. Let me move something over.
But it's glass.
It's glass.
He's not wrong.
My. Sorry, I'm just having a little technical difficulty real quick here with the PC. Trying to fix. There we go. We got it. Okay, good. Anyway, glass. It seems strange at first blush. Big, strong athletes jumping and running across a court of glass while pounding the rock, finger quote, and even diving on the foot. Just think of the guy who wrote this. That picture that we saw of Aaron Beard, and then him putting the phrase "pounding the rock" in finger quotes. Just think about that guy saying that. He wrote that. Anyway, safe and viable service featuring standard visual be changed with a few swipes and taps of a smartphone or tablet app. Thornton said the glass surface is given in flexibility exceeding that of wood, aided by a spring action design to the aluminum and steel framing beneath the paneling. There's also a ceramic coating with dots etched into the glass, offering grip and a consistent surface without dead spots or other quirks that occur with wood quartz. That was one thing I wanted to bring up. There is a somewhat viral video that went around the last couple of years, and every NBA season I keep seeing it for the last maybe 2 seasons of oh shit, his name escapes me. Who's the guy who shoots the threes for Golden State? Steph Curry. He's just pregame. He's got his headphones on and he's just, dribbling around the court, right? He's warming up. He's got like his jacket on. And he hits
getting up there though.
Right. He dribbles and he hits a spot in the wood and he misses his dribble. So when it bounces back up, he misses the ball. He doesn't get it. And he looks and he knows that he didn't miss his dribble. The ball bounced differently. And then the guys come in and they figure out there's a dead spot in the wood, like in the paint. It's like in the paint, right? Where you're going to be having a lot of dribbling. And they pointed that out, and I don't know what they did, if they found a way to fix it or whatever, but there's a pretty viral video that's been going around for a couple of seasons with that. It makes me wonder how this glass would react. I would think the glass, it would be a more uniform substance for dribbling. I mean, that's the 2 biggest concerns are grip for your shoes and dribbling. And that's the big reason why wood has been working so well for so long. Anybody who's played outside on a paved court knows that it does not react the same way as a wood court does. The ball bounces differently. It's inconsistent. Sometimes you get pits and shit in the pavement or whatever that causes things to not feel well. If it's a little bit wet, your grip is weird. You're sliding, it sucks to fall on. It's not soft.
Wood doesn't hurt that bad though.
No, it's not that bad. Because you're not really falling that far unless you're jumping 8 feet in the air or whatever, coming down funny, and you do like a Tom Segura and break your knee and your arm at the same time. But yeah, like I would imagine that the consistency of glass would be a lot better. It might not be the same as wood. The ball might bounce differently than wood. It's going to feel different walking and running on it than wood. But these are professional athletes who are very smart guys who understand what it takes to run and dribble. They can work around that and get good at it. It probably wouldn't take very long. And if something like this took over and you start seeing it in college in the next decade, it'll start to become the norm, I guess, right?
Let's just go into the future, I guess.
Boom! There you go. There's a stigma about the glass. Oh my gosh, it's going to break. It's harder. People are going to break the glass. They're going to fall through it, Thornton said. It's actually quite the opposite. The visuals are the bigger selling point, obviously.
Right.
Arena managers could easily update a court's look instead of using space storing hardwood stacks for multiple designs, paying for labor to install or update them. Coaches could set up their own practice regimens with on-court visual cues. That's actually cool. It would be like playing on a giant iPad.
Right.
Imagine a coach, because they have apps that you can set up, both basketball and football, like the X's and O's, and you can draw a play, and you can make a visual of it. You can make a little video, like a little slideshow, that shows a play progressing. Imagine that on the court. And you have an X with your number. If you're number 21, and you see an X with a 21 next to it, underneath your feet. At that point, it becomes like dancing. You're just following the play. You learn those different, routes to take and such. Now, obviously, you're not going to stick to those in game too much, but you're going to have an idea of how to set certain plays, maybe set a pick or something like that. That's an interesting thought. I hadn't thought of that, but that would be a really cool and powerful teaching tool for coaches around the NBA. That would be awesome. And why aren't they doing this in hockey arenas? Why aren't there lights under the ice that can do this stuff?
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't have to change the surface itself. It's still ice. Why aren't there lights with the ads and the lines and all that shit underneath a big LED screen? I'll bet some hockey arena is going to do this. There might already be some. They're just not like,
And watch it be the Capitals.
NHL. Yeah, right. It'll be the damn, the Habs. Or who did we say? Detroit.
Montreal. They'll be the Red Wings, yeah.
For sure. Okay. Easily updated course look. Yes, a team could even opt for a hardwood panel look in a nod to tradition. What's that?
I got good news.
Pirates win?
No, they lost to the Reds.
Damn.
But I got other good news.
Penguins won.
Penguins won, and
yes.
The Giants won.
Nice. They beat the Yanks. Nice.
Yeah,
what was the final? 9-1.
Yeah, they called the game, though. They called the game, and that's what I'm...
Oh, because it was raining, yeah.
They don't call it during the playoffs, but when it's a regular season game, they call it. Makes sense.
Absolutely makes sense, dude. Is the game in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah, then it's almost 11 o'clock, so, I don't blame them.
No, it's because they gave up already.
Right. That kind of lead, they were, 8th inning or whatever? So
6th inning.
6th inning still. If you're after, 4.5, it's a game. So if they're into the 5th inning and that happens, then it's still the end of the game. So it is what it is. Hey, it's funny that the Yankees got absolutely crushed on the night that we decided to talk about the damn bats.
Yes, exactly.
It's like everything we said is just thrown out the window because the Yankees decided to suck. It is. The trade-off, a bigger price tag than a wood counterpart. Yeah, I would imagine that is true. But, however, you probably don't have to replace the glass as often. If the glass is as durable as they say, the wood you have to replace every few years no matter what. Because even if you barely use it, just the moisture in the air and the humidity and stuff will eventually be a problem for the wood, right?
Right.
So let's see here. Connor Sports, a Michigan-based company, makes the hardwood courts for the men's and women's Final Four. Technical director Jason Gasparich referenced that higher cost. He noted that roughly 750 of the 800 courts his company typically builds and sells per year might end up in elementary and high schools where they just don't have the budget for that. Still, he also gave a tip of the cap to the tech. Nonetheless, they're still super interesting, unique, Gasparich said. And there's things you can do with digital you can't do with a traditional wood floor. Yeah, that's true.
Finch, you want to know something funny?
What's up?
Baseball's funny. Guess what happened?
What happened?
The White Sox that are 3-10 beat the Boston Red Sox 11-1.
Yeah.
Tell me how that happens. Only in baseball.
They scored more runs. That's how that happened. That's all I could say. They scored more runs. Problem solved. Case closed. So glass LED courts are already in home arenas for Bavern, Munich in Germany, and, oh, holy cow, Panathinaikos, Athens in Greece. They've also been used in events by a governing body, FIBA. In the U.S., Kentucky used one in October for its Big Blue Madness event, marking the ceremonial season start for Wildcats basketball. I love everything about the versatility of this floor, men's coach Mark Pope said in a video posted by ASB Glass Floor capturing reactions.
You get everything you want, so.
Yeah, right. UK. I don't know what I was expecting, but it squeaks like a real basketball court. Women's player Cassidy Rose said in the video. It just functions like a normal basketball court, but it's showing our picture, which is crazy. Fair. Okay. If
Fair.
it feels good, it feels good. I am not a pro basketball player, so I wouldn't know.
I'm gonna come.
By
Exactly.
December, the company had set up a training facility in Orlando, allowing NBA teams to play the Magic a chance to work out in the glass court and offer feedback. Yada, yada, yada. Minority
Yada, yada.
stakeholders, be more than 100 players and coaches have tested so far. As we integrate with other data players, the NBA, Flory said, the focus now up to today has been getting a surface that is comfortable to play on, and we've done that. And that's the end of the article. Ultimately, that's what matters, right? It's got to be. Whoa, what the hell is that thing? Ugh,
Yeah.
all this JD Vance. Stay away from my couch, bro. Um, yeah, like
I would say stay away from my beer, JD Vance.
I think the court looks cool. I mean, I am all for tech. I like awesome tech. I was just at the Sphere in Las Vegas 2 weeks ago,
Oh,
and
how
you
was
want to
that?
talk about video tech? That is world class video tech,
Right.
and it was mind blowing how cool it was, right?
What was
And
playing in front of it?
so I had the band. The band that I saw was Dead and Company. That's the Grateful Dead.
Oh, they played in front of it?
Yeah, they've played a few shows there now. They played in front of it last year, and this year they had a run, and I caught the last show of this particular little stint they did, and it was awesome. They have John Mayer playing guitar and singing with them, like the John Mayer, and they were wonderful. They played a great show. I loved every song. They sounded great, and the video was just magnanimous.
I bet, man. I bet.
I have all kinds of video on my phone, man. I'll post some up in the chat for you to check out. But it's wild stuff, man. You're in this giant arena. It's big, circular. You know, it's like an IMAX arena, but it goes up over your head and actually around the top a little bit. And all the seats are on one side. So when you get up where we were sitting, we were actually pretty centered. But we were almost all the way up. There were about 10 rows behind us, and that was it. So we were way up in the sky. Very steep seating. Anybody who's been to Civic Arena knows what I'm talking about. It's where you are sitting in a seat, you have barely enough room to stand up, and when you stand up and look, it is steep, okay? However, they ended up being the best seats in the house, in my opinion, because we had a very good view of the entire screen without really having to move your head too much.
Right.
And the perspective of the stuff on the screen was a lot of animation. So there was a lot of perspective going on that was pretty wild. And it just made things look a certain way. It's hard to explain without showing you. But like I said, I do have some video, and the video doesn't really do it justice.
I would love to see space, like a space thing through that.
They did two things. Once, the Dead, when I was there, they did one of their songs. They had a space theme going on with the video, and it was pretty good. It felt like Star Wars, where you're like floating through space, and then like a satellite just come cruising through over your head. And the sound in this place is also incredibly impressive. So let me tell you, they have this demonstration there.
Yeah.
They have so many speakers in this building that they can set multiple speakers to shotgun aim at every single seat in the arena.
Oh my.
And they have this display you check out, right? So you walk in, it's like a demo. And
Yeah.
it wasn't open when I was there, but I've seen it online, and I was actually talking to somebody there about it. They put you in front of a TV screen, they have a woman talking to you, she's giving you a demonstration about the sound.
Yeah.
And there's like 5 or 4 different spots on the floor that are numbered. And then like a middle spot between the 4 other spots, okay?
Mhm.
So she tells you, you're standing in the middle, and she's talking to you, and she tells you to move to spot 1. And as you move over to spot 1, you hear her voice change from English to Spanish.
What?
And when you move back to the original spot, you can go back to English. She tells you to go to spot 2. You move to spot 2, you can hear it transition to German. You move from there to spot 1, it goes from German to Spanish. They're broadcasting 4 different signals or whatever to 4 different speakers, and narrowing where it plays and how you hear it to an exact spot to where your head is going to be.
Get the heck out of here, Finch.
Now, have you ever sat in front of a pair of speakers that are set up for stereo? And when you move your head, you find that sweet spot where it makes the sound like it's coming from inside your head, and you can't tell that it's coming from the speakers. You ever done that? You know that feeling?
Yeah.
Or even if you have a good set of headphones on, and then like you lift the left cup on, so all you hear is the right or the left. This had that feeling, but in a little more of a surround sense. But it wasn't real big, wide surround like a surround sound system at a theater or whatever. because you are kind of limited to the area of your seat. But whether you're standing up or sitting down, you could tell the difference. They do another demonstration with the same setup with this woman on the screen telling you to step on these different places. And in the second one, they have a band playing. You hear music, right? And you hear like a piano, a guitar, drum, and like a singer. And when you're standing in the middle, you hear the whole band. But when you stand on part number 1, all you hear is the singer. And if you start stepping back to the middle, you start to hear the band again. If you step towards 2, all you hear is the piano playing the same song.
That's wild.
Like a mixer rolling down the volumes. Isn't that wild?
That's wild.
They had that going on during the show. So I'm listening to the Grateful Dead, right? And they are a band of very sonic expanse, let me say. They use a lot of different instruments, a lot of different sounds, and they blend it together. You know, they're known to jam and get real spacey, and they had some spacey music playing. They were playing their guitars and pianos. And you could hear different things depending on where you moved in your seat. We were standing for most of the time, but if I leaned towards my brother-in-law on my left, if I leaned towards him, I was definitely getting more of a left stereo. If I leaned to the right, I was definitely getting more of the right stereo. That is mind-blowing if you are in a seat and that happens.
Right.
In an arena.
With a bunch of people.
You go to any other arena, you're not going to have that ability. There's going to be stereo sound because there's speakers on the left and the right of the arena. But if you're on the right of the arena, it's going to sound like the right of the arena. You understand?
Yeah.
And they don't mix it so that the sound is just the right, because if they're playing in true stereo, you want different tracks playing in left and right. They can't do that. They have to mix it in mono. And then they'll do effects where it gives a radio sound. For instance, there's a guitar pedal called a rotary pedal that'll give you a sound that'll like rotate your sound from left to right channels, you know? And you can tell that at a play like PPG Paints or at Heinz Field if you're there. You can hear that. But it's nothing like at the Sphere. Like I said, you move your head to the right and you feel that right channel in your ear. It's awesome. And then I think they have like subwoofers in the seats because they were hitting bass lines and the drum was kicking the bass drum. There were times it was making my heart skip a beat. It was so powerful, dude. Do you know what I mean?
That sounds cool.
So the Sphere also plays a movie. I think it's just one like experience. It's called like From Earth, I think it's called. And it's like $70 to buy a ticket to this film.
Really?
Right, like an hour-long film experience, all right?
Is
But
it
once
like
again,
explaining the history of Earth?
it's I haven't seen it. I didn't go to that. I wasn't going to see that show. That would have been cool, but when you do that show, there's a lot of stuff included with that. So like the whole place is, this sounds silly, but it's run by robots.
No.
There are robots everywhere. Now they're stationed. They're like tour guides, all right? It's not like they're cooking the food. It's not like they're taking your tickets. But the place is laid out in a certain way where you're kind of guided on different ways to go. And it's sort of a tour experience. And there are robots at all these stations who explain things to you. Full animatronic, talking to you, looking at you, responding to your questions type stuff. Unfortunately, when they have a concert, they don't open that ability up. So that wasn't a thing that I could see. But when you pay for that $70 ticket to see the movie, this is part of the experience. And they have that demo I talked about. They have that playing and all that stuff. You go in, you do the movie, and then it's a tech demo for the Sphere, right? So like, do you ever play a game? Like on PS5, there's the Astro's Playroom. It shows you how to use the controller. Or if you're playing Wii Sports teaches you how you can move the controller this way to make the bowling ball go this way or whatever, right?
Right.
This is like that, but with the Sphere. So they show these awesome videos of Earth from space.
No.
And there'll be satellites, and they'll zoom into different areas, and you'll have all kinds of cool satellite effects, you know, like Google Earth type shit, but like in super high crisp definition, bigger than fucking 10 houses, as big as Heinz Field almost, you know what I mean? Not quite that big. The Sphere isn't that big, but the Sphere is it's smaller than Civic Arena, in my opinion, in terms of overall size, but it's way taller. I think it seats like 18,000, which is how I think that's what PPG sits is like 18,000, right? But you're really cramped there. But anyway, it's wild, dude. A lot of oohs and ahs, I guess. I've watched some video on YouTube of it. I would like to have seen it. I just didn't make time when I was in Vegas. I was limited, and I'd already had kind of a plan of what I was doing. But for the concert, man, I'm telling you, it was worth it. It's got to be a bucket list experience. If you're into music, eventually when your band goes there and plays, it's worth going, man. So, all right, checking the comments here. Not a whole lot more going on. I think we're gonna go ahead and call it a night, man. It's getting pretty late, almost 11 o'clock. What do you got? Anything else you want to talk about, or just bring up real quick, Derp?
So you didn't catch the Pat McAfee show?
I did not, man. I've seen a few clips and I've read some articles of things that happened, but I did not see it in person.
Oh, you need to go watch that right after this.
Really? Where can I watch it? Is it on YouTube?
I think it's on YouTube.
Okay, on his channel still. Okay, cool. I'll do that. Maybe I'll put that on as I get ready to go to bed here. I'll put that on and give it a watch. I heard there was some wild shit, like some WWE stuff showed up, and
yeah,
that's awesome. I don't really follow wrestling anymore, but I still appreciate WWE, and it's always cool when they get involved with like cool shit, in my opinion.
Can I spoil one thing that happened?
Please do. Yeah, it's okay, man. Go ahead.
They had Pat McAfee decided to bring out sumo wrestlers
I heard about this. Yes.
and actually have a sumo wrestling match.
Was it entertaining?
It was fucking hilarious.
Okay, that's all you need to tell me. I don't want to hear any more.
It was hilarious. Everybody was getting into it.
Ryan says, "Are the hookers in Vegas still real, or are they robots now?"
That is a good question.
All right, Ryan, I have a hooker story. I'm going to give it to you, and then we're going to end the show, okay? So the 4 nights I was in Vegas, Ryan is on my face, as you are, Derp. You guys are Facebook friends. So I posted some photos when I was in town, and there was this particular bar that I went to every night. It was called Prohibition 1923. It was like a speakeasy.
Yeah.
And I liked the vibe, right? It was like the music was like that 1920s jazz. They had this cool shit playing on the TV, Charlie Chaplin movies. Very dark. They had like time period furniture there. So like it was real comfortable, plush couches to sit on. Just a nice place to sit and have a drink for a half hour. They had a fireplace, shit like that.
This hooker skew or something?
And so listen. So the first night I'm there, I sit at the bar. I order this drink. It has absinthe in it. I always wanted to try absinthe. And the bartender is this nice young lady. She is she has dark skin. Very, gorgeous. She's like a 10. Hot.
10?
And
Okay.
all the people that work at this bar wear these very specific, like, sort of suit-like outfits.
Yeah.
But the women's have, like, they're, like, real low cut. They show off the curves. They're real short skirts. And these chicks are just delicious. They're bootylicious. You know what I mean? Like, they're curvy. They have that real nice dark skin, real nice hair. Just beautiful. 2 women working there, beautiful. But super nice. They look young. They're, like, in their early 20s. So this girl serving me. We're chatting for a minute. I mentioned I'm from Pittsburgh area. She's like, oh, that's cool, you know. The next night, there's another girl working as a waitress. But she has a similar look to the girl from the first night. She's taller, but she has the same, like, style of body. Just beautiful. 10. Freaking
10?
supermodel. 10 out of 10. She's waitressing, right? She's got the little, like, cocktail waitress dress thing going. This real short skirt, like almost like a French maid thing. And it's hot, right? And she's got the little silver tray where she's walking around serving people drinks, bending over real low. So I'm sitting there, and there's this one fireplace. So I'm sitting by that fireplace, and I'm on this little couch, and I'm just sitting there, like, looking on my phone, like, just looking shit up.
Yeah.
She comes over, well, what do you want, honey? And I tell her, like, I'm going to try an old-fashioned. So they have a menu. I see an old-fashioned. So she brings it over. I drink it. It's really good. You know. So I liked it, so I asked for another. And she comes over, and she's being real nice, but not overly flirty. You know what I mean?
Right.
She's just showing it off a little. The thing that hot waitresses do to get a tip, right? So the second one comes back, the second drink. Money. She comes over to me, and she goes, this one's on us. She's like, we saw you here last night, and you seem like a nice guy, and we see you here alone. She's like, this one's on us. She's like, you can have this drink. And I'm like, holy shit, these are $20 drinks. Okay, so this is $20 she just saved me on one drink. I was very grateful. I'm like, that's awesome. So I drink that drink. I sat there for another, 15 minutes or whatever, and just kind of listened to music. I was, at this point, it was late. It was like after midnight. I was pretty drunk. I had a long day in the sun outside in the desert. It was fun. And I was just I was vegging out on this couch, right? And she comes over and she kind of like does this thing, kind of grabs my shoulder of my shirt a little bit, and I kind of shakes me out of it, you know? Yeah. And she's like, you all right, honey? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I said, I had a moment, you know? I said, I'm tired. I'm ready to go back to my hotel at that point. And this bar is in the hotel next to mine, and there's a walkway that connects the 2 hotels. So I don't have to go outside or anything. It's a long walk, but it's not a bad walk. I'm walking through 2 casinos, past a bunch of bars, restaurants, all that shit. But So she's like, okay, you okay? I said, yeah, she got me like a little glass of water and I chugged the water real quick and that was that. The third night I go to there. This is my last night in Vegas. The next morning I have to get up at 7 a.m. to catch an airplane at 10, right? So I get to this bar I was hoping these two girls would be there because I thought they were really cute. They talked to me. They were really nice. I go in and sure enough, they're both working. Right, one's behind the bar and the other is the waitress. And so I sit at the bar. She comes up. She's like, "Oh, you getting an old fashioned again?" I'm like, "No, no, so I'm gonna try something else." I look at the menu and I ordered, and they call it the Italian coffee. It was a coffee drink with like Bailey's and something else in it, amaretto, and so like a boozy coffee. And I'm drinking. It's hot. It's a hot drink and it's delicious, right? So she's like talking to me about it, and I love coffee. Like I'm kind of a coffee nerd, not a snob, but a coffee
Right.
nerd. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I like to grind my own beans. I like to go to the fancy shops and buy fancy. I like that. So we were just talking about coffee, and she knew a thing or two about it. So we were chatting, and the other girl comes over the way. Oh, hey, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. This, that, whatever. You're back. And I'm telling them like it's my last night here. And by this time they've gotten information from me. They know that I'm here alone for the most part. My brother-in-law was in Vegas for me for the concert, but he left the next day, so I had 2 days by myself. And I wasn't like looking to do anything. Like I wasn't trying to go to the bunny ranch or anything like that. And I explained all this to them, like as they're just chatting, like kind of casually. I'm like, yeah, I'm Pittsburgh. I like football and this and that, and this is what I do. I'm married. I have a daughter. I'm here. It's my last day or whatever. So these girls are both talking to me, and all of a sudden the conversation kind of changes. So they're both like leaning on the bar, and they're doing that thing that girls do when they have real big boobs and they have a lot of cleavage out, where they squeeze them and they're kind of looking at you with the eyes, and they might be doing that thing with their finger in their mouth, kind of like, and it's fucking gorgeous. It's hot, right?
Yes, Todd.
So after a minute of this conversation, I'm picking up on these things, but I'm drunk and I'm kind of stupid.
Right.
And finally, the girl says, if we know you're alone. She's like, we get off at 2:00. If you want a good time, we're available. And it hit me. The prostitutes. These girls work at this bar so that they can meet guys like me and get big paydays.
Yep.
And if they can get one of me a week, that probably pays all their bills for a week.
Right.
And this all like literally struck me in that moment. Like everything I just told you came to me.
That's what Vegas is, baby.
I did. This was the first true Vegas experience I had the whole time I was there. The last night I was there, this was the most Vegas thing to happen to me. I had been playing cards and slots for 3 days and going in and out of some of the most luxurious casinos in Vegas. And it didn't fucking hit me that I was in Vegas until some Sin City shit finally happened. And this was my Sin City moment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, that's how it felt. It was a pretty innocent journey for me the whole time I was there because I didn't break any rules, right? I don't drink and drive. Marijuana was legal out there. I partook a little bit because it's completely legal. It's recreational there. I gambled, which is totally legal. I rode the bus. I walked the strip. I saw girls and guys and performances and all this shit. And it didn't hit me that I was actually in Vegas until that girl said that. And I had a moment, right? I had this moment in my brain.
Yeah, you had a Finchy moment, and you were smart about it.
The next thing, right? She's like, okay. I said, you know what? I that's awesome. I said, thank you. I said, you're so gorgeous. Like, if I were single, it might be different, right? And she goes, I understand that, honey. That's awesome. She's like, you told me you had a daughter, and I said, thank you so much. No joke. Okay, that was the one girl that said this to me, kind of, hush hush in the corner of the bar, literally leaning over the bar, almost in my ear, telling me it's kind of blowing in my ear, trying to get me to, to boing, 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 that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The other girl comes up to me about 5 minutes later. By this time, I had just finished my drink. I think they were watching me. And she comes over and she says, we can come as a package deal. And I was just like, what? Let me tell you two things. Let me tell you three things.
Vegas Finch.
I haven't been the most. Ryan says, "You dummy."
Dummy.
I got a rest story.
No, he's not a dummy. He's a smart man.
So anyway, I went to the ATM machine. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. And she goes, "We come as a package deal." And my next thought, my first exact thought was how much, right? I'm like, out of pure curiosity. Because after the first girl stops talking to me and walks away and I'm finishing my drink, my thought is price, right? Because because I'm curious. I want to know. And I'm thinking to myself, it's got to be like a $500, probably $1,000 girl.
How
Because
much?
I'm telling you, 10 out. No, I never found out.
You
But
never
I'm
found
telling
out?
you, these girls are 10 out of 10. No, because I didn't want to ask how much, because prostitution's illegal in Las Vegas.
Oh my!
It's illegal in Clark County, Nevada. So Clark County, Nevada is the southern tip of Nevada, and prostitution is not legal there. You have to drive about a half an hour north of Las Vegas, out of the city, until you reach the next county,
That's smart.
and that's where all the ranches are, like the Bunny Ranch and all the houses of prostitution.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're allowed to just walk the streets. You can't. I think you have to be licensed to be a prostitute. I might be wrong about that. But anyway, at this point, I knew this, right? I've seen enough true crime shows where guys brought up money and suddenly that was the sting. Now, I'm not accusing these girls of a sting. I already had the thought process. This is how they make their nut, right? This is how they're paying their bills, is the prostitution.
Right.
I am totally cool with that for them. I understand it's against the law there, but I am totally cool. Who knows? They could live a half hour out of town and they will take you to your place and it's totally legal, right? Or at least you would think it is. I don't know that. I didn't get that far. They come up to me, here comes a package deal. I said, okay. I said, man, and I'm not going to lie. I had a split moment where I was like, fuck. I'm like, I've got it. I mean, I've at this point, I've spent about $2,000 on this trip. When you include everything, I blew all my cash that I was comfortable with losing at the gambling. And I'd spent almost $1,000 on the room and the flights and the food and the booze and all that shit. I was down a lot of money, but it was worth it to me because it was part of the experience. And I'm thinking, man, I could go $2,000 in debt tonight. I had a credit card. We could have made something work.
It could have happened, but
I could have taken them over to Gucci or Coach or one of the Tiffany and Company. All those stores are there. I could have taken them to Armani. We could have bought him some nice clothes or something, And no, I couldn't do it. I mean, the money obviously is a big thing. I can't do that. I don't want to break the law. I managed to go 4 whole days in Vegas without breaking any laws. At least I don't think so. At least I don't think I broke any laws. And I'm married and I love my wife and we've been together 18 years and I've never once cheated on her. And I don't plan on doing it. But
give it up for Finch for 18
that
years,
is my Sin City story. That is the one. I have not told Ashley that story yet, but I've told a couple other people. So I'm going to tell her. I'm just going to give her a time link to the end of this podcast. It's hard to resist that. Like, how often, especially a guy like me, dude, a fat, bald, white dude from fucking
Pittsburgh,
buttfuck, Pennsylvania, and 2 of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in person, right in front of me, offering the exact thing that I want to do with them. I don't want to take these girls out. I don't want to go to a movie with them. I just want to bang, bang, bang. And but it is what it is, man. Once again, if I were single, if I'd have been 20 years younger, if I hadn't met my wife, I probably would have fell for the trap. I might have been in jail that night. You know what I mean? Like, it could have been a sting, and they could have been like, "Fucking get them." And then I walk into my hotel room, and there's 3 different dudes with guns there, ready to fucking get me.
Right.
But it was cool. It was a somewhat flattering experience. It's obvious that these girls were stalking me for 3 days. When they saw me come back the second day, they were like,
"Oh, you have money."
Right, and the second day is when I was really talking to the bartender, explaining to her, like, I'm here by myself. My brother-in-law was here yesterday. We went to the concert. Like, I was just giving her the rundown. It was all innocent stuff, right?
Like, really?
She was telling me about herself. I don't know if any of it was true now, but she was just saying some stuff. She was saying, like, she was like a cheerleader and she was going to college at Nevada State University or whatever it is over there outside of town. She was like giving me this whole roundabout, story, and I don't know if I really truly believe it, but it was believable.
Right.
And then, it was like my whole world view of the place changed as soon as she said that, just kind of whispers in my ear. Dude, she had the whole thing going, dude. She was so close to my ear. She was almost licking it,
Yeah.
But I respect the hustle. It was all good, so. All right, we're going to call it a night. Anything else, Derp?
Did I tell you my drug story before?
Go for it.
This is the first. I've never told anyone on the live about this, so.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Go on.
Let me remind you, I never drank before in my life prior to this.
Okay.
This was at my sister's wedding 2 years ago. I decided to mix drinks, and I had no idea what was going on. So I had like 5 different types of drinks, and it was a mess, and I had a massive headache after this.
Yeah. Yeah, if
I
you've
can
never had
tell
a
you,
drink before and you get slammed like that in one sitting, it will do things to you that you don't expect. I think most of us have been there. Most of us went there when we were like 15 years old, but I
yeah,
respect how you felt. I get it, dude. I've been there.
it sucked. It sucked. I never
Yeah,
felt so much pain in my life,
yeah.
but I
Have
had
you
fun
drank
doing it.
since?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I only do it when I celebrate something.
Yeah, you probably never got as jacked up as you did that night, I'm sure.
Yes, and it sucked the night after.
I'm sure it did. I'm sure you felt like garbage for a day and a half after that.
I did. It was terrible.
And the funny thing is, you probably didn't know how to take care of yourself. Once you've had a few hangovers, you learn how to take care of it.
Right.
You know, for me personally, what always worked for me was aspirin, orange juice, or Gatorade, but usually orange juice was better for me. I think it was the sugar and ice. Like I would put ice on my head, or usually it was my head, or it would be like I would have pains like in my back for some reason when I was hungover. I never understood why. Maybe it's because I did stupid shit when I was drunk. But I always would have when I was hungover, my back, my stomach, and my head always bothered me. So ice packs were always
I
good for
could tell
that.
you all the drinks I drank though.
Yeah, go ahead.
I kind of remember them. So we had like, those little pints that are like banana or strawberry.
Yeah, they're like the little flavored liqueurs or whatever.
Yeah, I had one of those. Went to a bar, had a shot. Um, to the reception. Had some wine.
I was gonna say you probably had some champagne or wine.
Yeah, we're kind of like religious. Nobody knew we were drinking wine, so
Mm.
until then, so I had no idea it was wine either. I was so,
Ah, then you suddenly get it right to your mouth and you smell it and you're like, "Ooh, what is it?" Okay.
yeah, and then I drank what's the Whitney one?
Whitney?
Pink Whitney, I believe. Pink Whitney. I drank that.
You mean like tequila rose?
I think so.
I don't know. Anyway, go on.
And then I finished it off with a little bit of Jack Daniel's Coke. And
Yeah.
that as soon as I couldn't even dance, man. I was so messed up.
So when you're sober, you do dance? Is that what is that implies that you're a dancer?
Yes, I'm a dancer. I was.
Are you really?
Yeah, not having a fun night out. I'm a dancer. Yes.
You
For
don't
the, like,
mind
party.
yeah, shuffling your feet when the music is playing is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes.
I think we all get like that, especially after we've had 5 drinks in a row.
Yeah. And I had no idea what was going on because I was so
You were out of it. Yeah.
yeah, I was so out of it.
I got it, dude.
But
All right, dude.
that was my drinking story there for the night.
That was a good one. I enjoyed it. All right, dude. All right, we're calling it now. We've said it a few times. It's time to do it. Thank you for joining me on such short notice. Like I said, it's a bummer Tim and Ryan couldn't make it, but I had already had some information and some stuff prepared that I wanted to talk about, like the bats, and you helped me stretch it to like an hour and a half. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I had a great time. You're always welcome here on Two Cranky Jagoffs. Once I get my setup, I have a mixer, a physical mixer, and multiple mics, and 2 of my mics aren't USB mics, so I can't hook them into my computer. I have to use the mixer. So when we're here in person, we don't use Restream because it just works really well with OBS.
Right.
And we found out tonight with OBS through Restream program here, you can't invite people, which is lame.
That is lame.
So, yeah, I got to figure that out. And I do know that they have paid packages for Restream. They probably have that available.
Right.
If you get the paid package. I am not paying for Restream. I'm sorry. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, hey, thanks. We had a good time. Thank you to everybody. Jen says good night, guys. Good night, Jen. Have a
Good
great
night, Jen.
And good night to everybody else. Ryan and Caleb and everybody else who joined, watched. Ralph, thank you. And thanks again, Derp. I had a fine time. 2 Cranky Jagoffs. We're out of here. Peace.
I got one more thing to say.
Quick, make it happen.
Boom.
F the Yankees. There we go. Good night, everyone.